Okay, so you are here for the webinar, Your Publishing Plan, the six stages of production and launch. And I just want to give you a little bit of information before we get started. First, I'm Alexa Bigwarfe. I am the CEO and founder of Write, Publish, Sell, and I also am the host of the Women in Publishing Summit. So a little bit, first of all, I want to assure everyone you're going to get a lot of great content through this, but I will be talking about the Women in Publishing Summit throughout. And at the end of the presentation, before we get into questions, I'm going to pick a lucky winner to get a ticket for the Women in Publishing Summit if you don't already have one. So that's exciting, isn't it? We like free stuff. And let's see, Alexandra, can you check and see if we're live on Facebook on the Women in Publishing Summit page? I don't know what's happening here. It doesn't want to seem to go live. Okay, so I'm going to stop messing with that. If it doesn't go live, it doesn't go live. Now it says it's preparing the live stream, so hopefully we're on our way. Okay, a couple of things before we get started into the presentation. If you have questions, please use the Q&A box and feel free to use the chat throughout if you're watching the replay. Obviously, you can't leave questions in there, but if you can leave a question on YouTube and I'll come back and happily answer them. Okay, so we've got a lot to cover today. I'm already sidetracking myself. So if you have questions, I have Alexandra here who can like questions about anything happening with Zoom or any of those things. Alexandra can help you with that. I have a presentation. I'm going to get started with that, and we have a lot to cover. So here we go. Let's see. Let's get this sharing, and I'm so glad to have all of you here with me today. I really am. I love giving these presentations. I love teaching. I love sharing what I have learned over the years, and I started to tell you a little bit of background on this, on why this presentation came to be, and that is because through the Women in Publishing Summit, we always bring in all of these incredible sponsors and we talk about the different things and what's happening, and we just got so many questions over and over again about when they should use these tools and resources, what is the timeline, how does all of it fit together? And so last year I put together this presentation and it was hugely popular, and it's really great in helping you see that the timeline and all of the things that should be happening in those timelines, because for a lot of indie authors in particular, it's the timeline that messes them up. You don't know that you should have started doing this back in this stage, etc., etc. So by the end of today's presentation, you should walk away with a very clear understanding of what needs to happen and in kind of what timeline, but you're also going to be familiar with some of the tools and resources to get you there so that you've heard about them and can do a little bit more research and digging into it. And I'm also going to dribble in a little bit of information about the content that we have happening in the Women in Publishing Summit, because it's coming up in just a few weeks. I'd really like you all to join us. And we have nothing against men. We are not anti-men at all in any shape or form. We just created this as a special way to really celebrate and talk about the accomplishments that women are making in the publishing world, and for authors, publishers, other professionals, and we do this every year in March, which is Women's History Month. So that's a little bit, a very, very small background on why we're doing this webinar and how it came to be. If you haven't met me yet, I'm so pleased to meet you. My name is Alexa Bigwarfe, and I started Write, Publish, Sell about 11 years ago as I was putting my own books into the world and starting my own publishing house, and people were coming to me and asking for help. And like I said, I love teaching, and so I started sharing what I was learning and just kept doing it. And eventually I went on to start virtual conferences, and I started the Women in Publishing Summit, which is just my heart is in that event. And along the way, I've also started several publishing companies. We have Purple Butterfly Press, which is our children's book company. And we have Cat Biggie Press, which does adult books, not like adult books, but books for adults. And largely around grief, inspiration, hope, healing, and entrepreneur books for entrepreneurs, because those topics all go nicely together, don't they? Actually, you'd be surprised how much those topics actually interact. And then we have Chrysalis Press, which is a very, very, very small traditional press that we're not open to submissions or anything. It's more of a test baby than anything else. I'm a publishing and book marketing consultant, and I'm also an author. I've written in fiction, nonfiction, lots of nonfiction, lots of resources for grief, for parents, for writers, for publishers, all of those types of things. So that's who I am. I think it's important to understand people's backgrounds when they're teaching you things, because there's a lot of people teaching about publishing out there. And, it's important to know where the background is and where they have come from when you're making decisions. Okay. So your publishing plan, we're going to break this down into a few different areas here. Largely, we'll be talking to the indie audience. This does not necessarily just mean self-publishing. It can be people that are using self-publishing assist, or boutique publishers, or hybrid publishers. But it is important for everybody to have an understanding about the routes to publishing across the board. And it's very important to understand that the route that you choose is going to determine some of the things that you'll be doing. So when possible, I highlight what will be different if you're traditional publishing. But again, this could be a 7-week webinar. Like, there's so much to tell you about. So we're not going to get into every single thing, but I do want to highlight some of the things that will be different for you based on your route to publishing. It's so important that when you're sitting down and thinking about what you want to accomplish with your book, that you have a plan, regardless of route to publishing. I encourage all authors to actually take the time to do a query letter, because a publishing, oh my gosh, I told you my words go someplace, go out someplace, a proposal, because a good solid book proposal, even if you don't ever intend to submit it to an agent or a publisher, will help you walk through your plan of what you need to think about, your comp titles, your marketing strategy, what sets your book apart from everybody else's, all of those types of things. But you need to be thinking about your big picture plan. We're going to go through the 6 stages of production, what happens in what I deem to be the 6 stages along the way. And we're going to talk about the best tools to use along the way. Okay, one thing you must consider from the very beginning is budget. Is it true that you can write, publish, and sell a book without spending any money at all? No. Because at some point in time, you will spend money on something, whether it's a writing class, whether it's hosting for your website, whether it's an email management tool, all of those types of things. There is something in there. Now, how much you spend at each level is going to vary immensely depending on what you go, but there are some things that you should never cut from your budget. You should never cut some level of professional editing, even if it's just a proofread, and you should never cut a professional cover. Even if you are a graphic designer, like, hire a professional cover designer to go in and help you make sure that it meets industry standards. Can you skip this piece of it? Yes, you can. But I always teach to industry standards and to the highest level achievable of professionalism and quality, because what's the point of publishing a book if it's not quality at the end? Because you want to sell it, right? Now, there's exceptions to this. If you're doing a passion project, there's all kinds of things that we can get into, but what I want you to take away from this is that you need to have some level of budget, and that budget can vary. Marketing, you're going to need some level. I suggest a minimum of $500 for marketing, but it can easily go way beyond that. So just be thinking about this, that you are starting a business. If you're writing and publishing a book, it is a product that you will need to market, that you will need to produce professionally, and that you will need to get out into the world. So it's really, really important to know that there are great tools and people who can assist you in this journey, and you don't have to do it all by yourself. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with hiring professionals to help you, even if you're self-publishing. Okay, so we're going to talk about, very briefly, the different routes to publishing. You have self-publishing. While it's called self-publishing, this does not mean you have to do it all alone. It does mean that you are the driver of the project. You are the project manager. You are the one wearing all the hats, making all the decisions. You obviously have the most control in here, but again, I highly encourage you to work with professionals so you can make sure that the end product is something that people are going to want to buy and share and talk about with everyone that they know. And that's always our goal, is to build those incredible books out there. So you will publish on your own accounts. You will maintain all of your royalties. You will do all the things. You are the publisher. You are the marketer. You are the all. You are everything. But it's really nice sometimes to have help along the way. There's lots of freelancers. There are people who can help you, and there are companies. There's assisted self-publishing, and we'll be talking about many assisted self-publishing companies throughout this whole journey. But these are folks whose entire business is set aside or is created to make sure that you are publishing a book that you can be proud of, that you have a good cover that's competitive with covers in your genre, that you have a well edited, well formatted book. Some of them help with launch and all of those types of things, that you know the process to go through. They're holding your hand through the process of self-publishing. Then you have hybrid. My presses are hybrid press. What does this mean? It's a partnership model. This is often confused with vanity presses, which was an ugly term. It still is an ugly term. It's basically, companies that publish your book under their imprint, but they may not be doing a lot of the things that make it, that are following all the industry standards. Hybrid presses, on the other hand, operate like traditional publishers in many, many, many ways. But because of the fact that they're bringing in often first-time authors or people who haven't built a platform or people who are just getting, don't want to take the time of pitching to agents and do all of that stuff, but don't want to publish their own book, hybrid is a really good option. The costs are generally about what you would spend if you were doing all the things to industry standards by yourself, maybe a little bit more depending on what all is included in their packages. There's a lot of resources out there for you to know if about hybrid publishers and what they do, what they don't do, et cetera, et cetera. And then there is traditional. A traditional press, you are probably all very familiar with the big five: Random House, Simon & Schuster, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the very well known and very, very difficult to get into publishing houses. But if it is your dream to publish traditionally and you want in one of those places, you have to have an agent and you have to know the process that goes through that. So look into things like how you find an agent. One of our sessions, I don't think I put it in the schedule that I'm going to talk about, but one of the sessions that we have with Sally this year, she's a literary agent. She's going to do a session on writing your nonfiction book proposal to submit to agents. So that's really, really, there's a lot to think of, things to know about that, how to submit, all the different things, which we're not going to go into a whole lot today. But again, we have some sessions during the conference that will talk about the different routes. All right, this is my pretty little screen that kind of lays it all out there for you. So here we go. I hope you're ready. All right, so first and foremost, you can't publish a book if you haven't written it, right? However, I realize that some of these things don't always happen in the same order. Again, it's a very winding road, because sometimes, you're literally going all over the place to get to where you're going. But in general, this is the kind of, if we can put a timeline on it, this is as standard of a timeline as we can get, right? But you might start doing, obviously you can't move into editing or production before you've written the book. So in the writing phase, we're going to be brainstorming, outlining, plotting, drafting, getting your feedback and critique, doing some self-editing, working on your writing craft, attending writing conferences. All of these types of things are the things that are going to be happening in that stage of it. When you move into editing, you're going to be looking at beta readers, which if you don't know what, there's alpha readers and beta readers. Alpha readers get like very few of them and very, very rough draft of your book. Beta readers, hopefully you've gone through a couple rounds of revisions. I like to use beta readers before I go into the editing process. I like to use no more than 3 to 5 beta readers in their job. They're usually not paid. They are your author colleagues. They are readers of your genre. They are people who can give a good read of your book and come back and say, you know what, I don't like this character, their journey doesn't, go anywhere, or you missed this, or hey, on this page, Lila's eyes were blue and on this page they're green. They catch kind of some of those things that will help simplify the editing process and help you clean it up, come back with feedback, and those beta readers are an important part of your process. You've got other kinds of editing that include developmental editing, which is a professional who goes in and does all of that. Does your story get from A to Z? Are you following the right story arc? Do you have all the beats in there? If it's a guidebook or a self-help, does it make sense? By the end of the book, can they say you've accomplished something, that they've learned what you're supposed to learn? All those types of things to make sure the book is fully developed. And then you have copy editing, line editing, proofreading, and those get more into the structure, the grammar, making sure that everything is right. Production is the stage where you're literally getting the book produced, getting ready to go out into the world. So at this point, you're finding an agent or a publisher. Again, that process is going to be a little bit different depending on whether you're writing nonfiction or fiction. Just quickly, nonfiction can submit a book proposal before their book is written, but they have to have a very good proposal. And fiction usually submit their books when it's fully written and has probably been edited a time or two so that it's nice and clean. This is when you're thinking about whether or not you're going to do offset print runs and gathering quotes and things of that. It's when you're putting together your advanced reader copy and you're going to start thinking about your pre-launch marketing and building that audience. That's all happening in this time frame. Then we get into the actual publication and distribution. So publication, the book is being published, and the routes that you're doing that. You're either self-publishing it and you're going through companies like KDP or Ingram Spark, Publish Drive. I need to update to add them to this slide, Lulu, traditional distribution where you're going through a distributor and they're putting your book out into the world, or whether you're going print on demand through these sites up here where you load your book and when somebody buys it, it prints and ships, although that's not 100% accurate, but it's close enough for today. Whether you're going traditional or hybrid or self-published, this place is where the most production and publication and distribution are where the biggest differences happen. Because if you're going with a hybrid press, for example, they are probably going to be with you making a lot of decisions, but they will be assigning an ISBN. They will be getting the book cover done and the book formatted and all of those types of things. If you're writing a children's book, you need to check and make sure if you're planning on going with a hybrid press, whether they accept books that are already illustrated. I can tell you in traditional, you do none of that stuff. The traditional publisher will do all of it. Cover design, another round of editing, probably lots of editing, the formatting, the ISBNs, all of that stuff. So if you think you're going traditional, don't be spending any money back in phase 2 and 3 of buying ISBNs or doing any of that stuff. So once you've decided your route to publication, then you can start moving forward in whichever route you're going. And then of course you have the launch. Now, in stages 1 through 4, you should already be working on your marketing, thinking about your branding, setting up your social media, doing all of that kind of stuff. If you wait all the way till the end, till stage 4, you're going to have to catch up a lot. So start thinking about that very early. When you get to launch, now you're looking for reviews. You've got your advanced reader team and your launch team, your street team, whatever you want to call them. You've devised and are now implementing your marketing strategy. And more importantly than anything, you're just creating buzz, 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 buzz. The more time that you can give yourself in pre-launch from the time that you have an advanced reader copy, the better. Now, I have an entire other, lots of webinars that go into book launch strategy, marketing, timelines, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time in here, but I just want to say this again will be dictated, kind of come about based on your route to publication. If it's your first book, if you're launching multiple books a year, if this is the only book you're going to launch, your marketing strategy will adjust based on some of those things. And then you have the post launch, which you can't forget about. A lot of people will get to launch, they'll publish their book, and then they're like, done. The book's on Amazon. I'm set. I'm going to be selling 1 million copies by next month. It ain't going to happen. You have to continue that marketing, continue looking for collaborations and growth, continue to find ways to get yourself out there, to get your book out there, to grow your audience, to do all of those types of things, public relations, more audience growth, leveraging other people's audiences and collaboration, all of those types of things. Okay, so let's break it down a little bit. As I mentioned, rather than a winding road, a bowl of spaghetti would probably be a bit more reflective of what it feels like sometimes, because you can get to phase 1, 2, and 3, and then you realize you have to go back and do something else, or you're like, oops, I didn't do this, I have to do this, or I need to, so remember, there can be a lot of overlap, and this is why planning is so important. Knowing and understanding what has to happen and when can help you make sure that you're making the time and putting everything together in a logical sense and not missing anything important. Back in the day, now there's so much good information out there for authors, but when I first started 11, 12 years ago, we would have to go back and fix so many things that should have been done very, very early in the process. And there's still a lot of stuff that people will go out and publish their book and not realize that if they wanted to do, submit for trade reviews without paying or something like that, that should have been done 6 months before the book launched. Like they didn't know when to do these things, and therefore it caused them issues that had to be fixed later on. So that's why, you want to start thinking far enough in advance that you have plenty of time and you're not doing it last minute and screeching to the finish line and praying that everything comes out like you want it to. All right, so I'm going to go through these a little more specifically on what you're actually doing in these stages. And then we're going to kind of talk through some of the tools and resources that you can use. So again, stage 1, you're brainstorming, outline, plotting, creating your first draft, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I talked to somebody, one of my authors told me the other day hers has been through 27 drafts. So yes, she's worked very, very hard on her book. You're using tools to self-edit and doing all the things to really make this your best foot forward in your writing, using feedback groups, writing groups, book coaches, all the things. So some of the tools that you can think about while you're doing this, and many of them are sponsors, some of them are not, because I don't want to leave out really good tools that aren't currently sponsoring us. So tools like Autocrit, Fictionary, Scrivener, Plotter, you may have heard of some of these. They're going to help you outline, write, analyze, and revise your book. Some of them do all of those things. Some of them do some of those things. You want a really good self-editing tool. I will live and die by Pro Writing Aid. I've been using them since I started my book writing journey. I use it for everything. There's a plugin for the website. There's a plugin for Microsoft Word. And I cannot tell you how much my writing improves when I utilize this tool to go through, utilize their reports, go through and find the words that I have overused or sticky sentences, all kinds of things to help me make my book as good as possible before I send it to my editor. Because here's the deal. Editors can only go so far with your writing. Okay, if you hand them something that's never been revised, something that is very rough, they're only going to be able to get so far with the time and the budget that they have. So, even if you hire professional editors, the idea that you're going to have a perfect book at the end because you paid for editing isn't always the case. They can only help you make it better from what you gave them. So the more work that you can do ahead of time through self-editing tools, through beta readers, through writing feedback groups, all those kinds of things, the better polished your editor is going to be able to make your book. So, on those feedback groups, writing coaches, etc., some companies to consider are Heart of the Story, Inkworthy, Resilient Writers, Ignite and Write, The Writer's Life. And oh, by the way, most of these you can find information on womeninpublishingsummit.com/sponsors. And any of them that are our sponsors have deals and discount codes and coupons and all kinds of things, ebooks, all of that to help you along the way. So as I told you, I'm going to talk about some of the writing craft sessions, so the sessions that go along with each of these stages, so you can see how we are making sure to cover the 6 stages. So writing craft currently is day 1 of our conference, and we have a lot of writing craft covering a lot of topics. We really tried to make sure that we had content for beginners, for intermediate advanced authors, and then general we consider would be of interest to a lot of people in a lot of different genres and stages. So I'm not going to read through all of these. I'm happy to provide the slides to everyone, and you can go through these slides. But some of the ones, we've got different genres represented. So like Kidlit 101, how to write readable and appealing stories for children, to how to, oh, here it is, I put Sally's in here, where to begin, how to start a nonfiction book proposal, the key to writing a story that works, and more on the advanced. So advanced, you've probably already written your book or published at least one book, and now you're just working on getting better and better as a writing. So tropes, everything, everywhere, all at once. Tropes are really important for fiction writers. Writing your through line, improving your dialogue and deepening your characters, all kinds of great topics. And then the general topics will also include like mindset and productivity, creative resilience, which I can't wait to hear, how to get over self-sabotage, all these types of topics, hiding real people in real stories. So if you're writing nonfiction or memoir, how you write about them without, making it real clear who it is. Okay, then we move into stage 2, which is editing, all things editing. So refining your draft, beta readers, going through that developmental editing, revising and revising and revising and revising until you're so sick of your book you can't even stand it anymore, but you know it's the right thing to do. You can get analysis and manuscript critiques. Manuscript critiques, it's very difficult for me to say, but is a wonderful tool for you. You send this to, it's first of all a lot less expensive than editing. The pricing will vary, but I've seen them anywhere from like $250 to $500. Of course, it really depends on what you're getting with them. Some are more, some, whatever. Pricing will always vary from company to company, just like any other store. But what's nice about it is they read your manuscript and they give you a high level feedback on it. Does it fit the genre? Does it, accomplish what you're trying to do? Are there major issues that are found? And usually you'll get like a 2 to 3 page write-up back from it. Now, these days, there's some really cool AI tools that are also doing this. Publish has an AI kind of manuscript critique as well. They're not the same as a manuscript critique. Let me clarify that, but it can come back and tell you some of the things like which genre it fits in, those types of things, give you some descriptions. And Publish Drive also has an AI kind of manuscript revision, or comes up with a description. Like I told you, words are hard for me right now. But a manuscript critique, especially if you're first time writer and you haven't written a lot in your genre, I think is a really, really good investment of money, and can give you some really great feedback to help you, again, revise your manuscript before you go to an editor that has to spend a whole lot of time going through a lot of things. And then, of course, your other types of editing. So what are some of the tools you can use? Of course, for refining, Pro Writing Aid, AutoCrit, there's other tools, but these are some of my favorites that I have experience with. Obviously, working with human editors as well, but I'm trying to save you time and money before you go to a human editor. Beta readers, you can use Story Origin, or you can use groups that you're a part of. We have both the Women in Publishing Summit Facebook group and the Write, Publish, Sell Facebook group. You can go in there and tell people what your book is about and what type of beta readers you're asking for, and then have a way to get them to reach out to you if they want to help you. Editing. We have lots of editors, lots of editing tools, lots of editors in our community that aren't necessarily sponsors, but are great editors. And this is in the Women in Publishing Summit. What I think is so beautiful is that we bring authors and publishing professionals into the same environment, allow you to find people, connect with people, and meet that person who may be your just right editor. But you can start by checking out Black Bear Communications, Heart of the Story, Phoenix Rising, Sutoth Editing, Higginbotham Editing. These are just some of them. Lots of phenomenal editors in our community. And we've worked really hard to grow that relationship with editors because it's so important to the process. And then, of course, for analysis and manuscript critiques, you can look at Autocrit, Inkworthy, Chanticleer, Publish Drive, Publish, and I believe there was one other one and it just escaped my head. But Fictionary, I think, does a certain level of analysis as well, especially making sure that your story lines up with the expected story arc, which is important to know too. Like if you're in chapter 7 and you still haven't gotten to, where you're supposed to be, it'll let you know. Okay, some of our editing sessions. So day 2 of the conference is all about production, routes to publishing, and editing. So we have a lot of stuff jammed into those 2 days, but we try again to talk about how to find and communicate with an editor. Oops, I haven't asked Danielle if we can reuse her session from last year, but I thought it was a really good tool to have out there, but how to set and spend your editing budget wisely. Danielle, if you're here today, I'll be reaching out to you. The Creative Writers Toolkit, Editing, Brainstorming, and Beyond. And I love this idea of having the Christy Robinson and Kaylee Merritt are going to do a conversation of what it looks like for an author and editor. So I think that's going to be a great presentation. Then we have talking about beta readers, how you do that. Catching legal red flags in your memoir. This is really important if you're writing a memoir. We don't want anyone to get in trouble. And on that, copyright and fair use. Can you quote song lyrics? Can you use a poem? What can you use from things, all those types of things. Kelly's going to help us not get in trouble with that. And then on the professional side, we've got an intro to developmental editing for copy editors and others, creating an editing service. And then we have amplifying author voices through skillful editing. So we've got sessions for our editors to also learn in the conference as well. All right, now production. Like I said, production is going to be so varied depending on how you're getting to publishing. So it's really important for you to think about how you want to publish your book. And if you want to go traditional, I am here to tell you, if that's your dream, go for it. Do what you need to do to have a great manuscript, have a great query letter, find the right agent and all of those things and see that through, because there's nothing worse than feeling like you didn't do what you wanted to do for your dream, right? And one of two things is going to happen. You find an agent and you start getting your book published out there. I'm sorry, one of 3 things is going to happen. Or you find a small or medium-sized house that will publish you traditionally that may not have all the bells and whistles and the big names, but do a great job. There are so many wonderful, small, traditional, and medium-sized publishing houses that will be such a great experience for you. And some of them even don't require an agent to submit. So there's that out there. Or 3, you'll get tired of that process and want to publish your book and wind up going either through self-publishing or through hybrid. But you have to give yourself the shot if you want to go traditional. So if you're doing it on your own, again, you'll be managing a lot of these things, getting files formatted, determining metadata, working with your illustrator or formatter, finalizing all of those files, deciding where you're going to load your book to put it for distribution and on sale, if you're going to do print runs, all of those types of things. A lot of those things, again, if you're going hybrid, will be covered by them. So if you don't want to do all this stuff by yourself and you'd rather work with an established publisher and you don't want to go through the process of finding an agent or traditional publishing, then hybrid publishing may be a great route for you. And of course, you're also doing some of that pre-launch marketing, growing your launch team, growing your audience, doing all of these things. All right, so who do we have in our audience that can support you with these? If you're looking to find an agent or publisher, Your Book is Your Hook is a great company for that. They do all kinds of things from getting you ready for an agent to helping you sell your other rights like TV, not news, movies, and all those kinds of things. So you'll hear from Jennifer at the conference. And she's been a long time, Your Book is Your Hook has been a long time supporter of our audience. Then formatting. Meeble Art does great covers. You've got Friesen Press, other self-publishing assist companies, which we have a lot of in our community that I will share with you at the very end. And TLC Design are some of the companies, but lots of them. Okay, so this is, if you're self-publishing, reach out to your author friends who have great books. There's other tools out there for formatting, like Atticus. We'll hear from Atticus during the conference, and Vellum, that make, if you have a standard book without a lot of extra bells and whistles, they just make it so easy. If you're working with an illustrator or formatter, Children's Book Mastery, Old Mate Media, TLC Books, SCBWI are all organizations that can help you. There's lots more too. Printer and or distributor selection. You can look at Ingram Spark, MCRL, Lulu, Publish, Edgebook Printing. Again, if you are going through a publisher, they'll handle this piece of it for you. If you're looking for a DIY website solution, PubSite, great company that focuses specifically on authors and making great websites for authors that you do. You don't have to pay thousands of dollars for someone to come in and do your website for you. And then project management or support of you through the process. You've got Black Bear Communications, Storyflow, Wonder Lady, most self-publishing assist companies, Write, Publish, Sell, just lots of companies that can help you through this whole process. All right. Some of our publishers, as you can see, for our particular audience, we are heavy on the self-publishing assist and hybrid. We're looking to grow our traditional presses, but to have them represented as well. But the majority of our audience will wind up self-publishing or going through hybrid press. So that's where we put our efforts, because we want to make sure that you're introduced to the right companies that can help you. Now, I put self-publishing assist, I put Your Book is Your Hook, Lulu, and Publish Drive in this category because they do offer different elements of assisting to self-publishing, but they're not going to be down in the weeds as much with like helping you get your cover and your interior formatted and all of that. So, but you may definitely want them for other things. Okay, and you can find out about all of these publishers in our publisher speed dating. Most of them are going to be part of the publisher speed dating during the conference, and of course on the sponsors page if you want to check out more about their companies. So our production sessions, we're getting into the costs and challenges of publishing, the what you need to know to navigate the very confusing publishing landscape. And we've got two very experienced women in the publishing industry, Pam Shepard and Terry Ryder, giving that presentation, all the way through talking about Atticus, formatting your own book, how to find and work with a cover designer. If you're gonna submit a query and all the things that come in there, those essential steps for submitting to a publisher. And we have a good number of things for our professional attendees as well, our editors, our publishers, our graphic designers. The professional is for publishing industry professionals. So lots of great sessions for you all if you're a professional in the industry, or want to be, tips for setting up your publishing house, creating business from gaps in publishing. So how you can create a business around what you do to help authors. All right, I gotta speed up a little bit because we are running out of time. Told you there's so much to tell you about. Okay, then we get into publication and distribution. Not going to spend a whole lot of time here because essentially it's just how you get your book into the world, and we could spend hours talking about distribution, but these are the things you're going to be looking at, and of course it's going to depend based on which route you go, whether you're distributing which distribution just means how your book gets out to buyers. So that could be only through Amazon. It could be through to all made available to all retailers and libraries. It can be only on your website. There's a lot of different ways that you can distribute your book. Traditional distribution means through the traditional channels that book buyers buy their books. But there's so many ways to get your books out there, and so many companies and so many things. So you also look at the formats. Are you doing hardcover, paperback, ebook, audiobook, all the different things, et cetera, et cetera? There's a lot to learn in this area. And this is where it's also really great to go with somebody who can help you do these things, because it can be very confusing. So in your traditional distributors. So you can find out lots of distributors on the Independent Book Publishers Association website. You have your self-publishing platforms, Ingram Spark, KDP, Publish Drive, Draft to Digital. There's others. Hybrid presses. We have, in addition to our sponsors, She Writes Press is a great one for memoirists. You've got Luminary Press, Purple Butterfly Press, Emerald Lake Books, Top Reads, Warren Publishing, Ingenium Books, and Global Hybrid as well. I need to add that into this one. And then all kinds of self-publishing assist companies: Publish, Luminary, Old Mate Media, Children's Book Mastery, Phoenix Rising, Wonder Lady, Hybrid Global, Bright. There's all kinds of them in here. And then for audiobooks, one of our partners this year is the audiobook. Our audiobook partner is the Audiobook Experience. So beginners working with a self-publishing assist company, what you need to know about audiobooks. Advanced, we're going to be talking more about like how you maximize your sales through your distribution choices, and how you utilize different things to help you with your publication and distribution. I'm not sure why I put the reviews on this one, but I think maybe because you can be doing reviews ahead of launch. I'm not sure. Who knows what I was thinking there. But we'll be talking about your publication and distribution. And then for the professionals, and keep in mind, if you're just interested in learning on this, you don't have to, you can attend these sessions even if you're not, quote unquote, already working in the publishing industry. But understanding ISBNs across the global platform, and launching your freelance editing business, other things along those lines. Okay, book launch. We have a whole day on marketing, because marketing in itself is one of the biggest things that you will need to learn and to do. So we spend a lot of time digging in deep into marketing. So getting your reviews, submitting for awards, growing that ARC team, doing review tours, social media growth, email list growth, visibility, PR marketing, creating buzz. If people are going to buy your book, they have to know it exists. This is one of the things I hear authors say all the time. I thought writing the book was the hard part, and then I started marketing. And it doesn't have to be hard, but there are a lot of things that are time consuming that you have to put in place. And if you're going to do them on your own, you have to learn them. You have to have time. You have to have a runway to build enough momentum to get you to where you need to be. And all of these are going to depend on so many factors: your goals, your route to publishing, all of that. But some of our sponsors who can help you in these areas, you've got Book Award Pro, Forward Reviews, Chanticleer for getting reviews and submitting for awards. For building a strong art team, influencer tours, you can use companies like Love Book Tours. If you're writing a children's book, the Children's Book Review, Launch My Book. Also, we have Bold Authors Network, who helps in that area as well. Social media and helping you with those types of things. You can go to Busy Bee Author Assistance and find people who help on all of these types of things. Novel Publicity, Lit Ring, other companies. Again, these are not all the tools out there. Okay, there are many tools, but here are the ones we want to feature. Getting more visibility, marketing and launch strategy, Abundantly Social, Launch My Book, Curious, Bold Authors Network, Storyflow, Lit Ring, Paid promo lists, written word media. I use them all the time. Love them. Can't wait for them to come talk to you guys again this year. Fussy Librarian. Again, there are tons of paid promo lists for that. Pre-launch marketing, your audience growth and market research. Publisher Rocket is my favorite tool. I was just using it yesterday, going in and updating our books that are out there, revamp, going in and making sure that the metadata is still good and strong enough to get them ranking where they need to be. So we have tons of book launch sessions. I don't think I even got all of them. I mean, I didn't put every single session of the entire conference on these slides, but just to give you kind of an idea of what we're covering: book launch budgeting, Pinterest for authors, Substack 101. Substack is getting a lot of attention these days. What is it? How do you use it? Engagement and how to create engagement around your marketing, AI tools for marketing, marketing your memoir so it sells. Like, that's really important. It's hard to sell a memoir. So I'm very excited because we have a lot of memoirists in our community. Social media branding for book sales, book reviews, marketing your books to teachers and librarians, writing content to market your books, all these types of things, how to work with book influencers. And then for the professionals, how you sell your books directly from your website, specifically for publishers. The 3 keys to unlocking your PR superpowers for publishers. I'm really excited about our marketing day. And then finally, we are getting into the post-launch stuff. I don't think we spend enough time talking about this. And this is actually something that I want to spend a lot more time really digging into, because again, we spend so much time talking about editing and writing and good covers and how to get your book published and all that stuff. And then you publish your book and it's like, well, what the heck do I do now? Like, why isn't my book selling? How do I get out there and do this? So this is, we have a full day on business growth and audience growth. So day 4 is dedicated to this topic. And it's so important that you pay attention to the things that you must be doing after your launch if you want to continue growing your book. So PR, marketing, paid promos, podcast, speaking, other income streams and additional revenue that you can use as an author or publishing professional to bring in some money while you're waiting for those book sale revenues to really get to where you need them to be. Other rights, sales of different rights that you have that you may not have thought about, growing your team, collaborating with authors, with other folks, with other businesses, growing that email list. This is where you need to be if you're going to continue selling and growing, etc. All right, so who do we have that can help with that? With PR and marketing, Abundantly Social, LitRank, Launch My Book, Bold Authors Network, Story Flow Solutions, your paid promos, again, Written Word Media, Fussy Librarian, Robin Reads, and the list goes on and on and on. If you want to get out there and speak, Light Beamers is a great way to help you grow your story and know how to get out there and speak it. Mic Drop Workshop, Book Awards, Book Award Pro, Chanticleer. Book Awards can be such, we've got 2 or 3 sessions on Book Awards and how to use those, because it can really be a great tool for you in marketing and getting more eyes on your book. Then selling your rights. Your book is your hook, but we also have a session on international rights, which is going to be great. Finding support, growing your team. Aurora Publicity works with fiction authors. Busy Bee has a whole host of different folks out there across the spectrum that can help you. Book Funnel, phenomenal tool for helping you grow your email list and find new readers. But you also have things like NetGalley and all kinds of other tools to help you market that book pre-launch. But you can also do post-launch if you need a pick-me-up. Okay, so our post-launch sessions, we've got such phenomenal topics in here. I just wish that I could be at every single one of them, because they're just going to be incredible. From building your author business plan, this one I really like. We're talking about creating workbooks and programs that expand the reach of your book. So we have one session with Toby door, who is a fan favorite. But then we've got another one happening as well, Beyond Courses, crafting immersive learning experiences with digital workbooks, that Parshell Tashi is going to be giving. And I'm super excited about that because I'm working with her now to create my own digital workbook. And I just think this is so great for people who are selling your knowledge base and looking for good ways to be able to do that. Don't want to create a whole course, all this kind of stuff. How to use BookBub, how to fund all of your goals. Like, this is not inexpensive stuff. We're talking about that. So Sharissa is going to come in and help people come up with different ways to bring in the money. Writing in series, y'all. This, if you're writing fiction, you've got to be writing in series to grow that that audience of people. You don't have to be, but it's a very, very helpful way to grow your community and write and get people into your world. Creating multiple revenue streams for entrepreneurs, mastering the art of creative presentations. This is really great for those of you who are scared to get out and talk about your book. Pat at Black Gold is going to come in and teach you how to relax and have fun with your author talks, how to expand your business internationally with translations. So translations and selling rights and all this. I don't think Isabella is going into the selling rights part, but the translations part is a big piece of that. So getting translations, etc. Collaborative books for business success. So for those of you who have ever thought about doing a collaborative book project, Lynette has done multiples of those. She's going to come in and teach this. And then for professionals, we just have a whole slew: up-leveling your publishing house, keeping more money in your business, creating business from the gaps, managing royalties, important things, how to create reliable income streams by offering services to authors. All of these are going to be wonderful in helping you grow your businesses and bring in more things. So here is a breakdown. I'll make sure, again, you'll have my slides, but sometimes it's easier to have everybody in their areas, and hopefully I got everybody in there. We are so lucky to have such incredible sponsorship this year, and they are bringing such great tools and discounts and ebooks and guides. Hybrid Global has a Rolodex of all kinds of people that you can work with. I mean, there's just a lot of great things. So please make sure, whether you're attending the conference or not, that you go over and check out some of these companies and what they have for you. Okay, it is time to do the giveaway. I promised I would do that first before we get into the questions, because what time is it? It's 2:52. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. This, my friends, is also, first of all, if for some reason I forgot to activate this coupon, if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, please make sure you go over to womeninpublishingsummit.com, and you can, there's two coupons available right now. Love Yourself, all one word, or Alexa 50. Both of those should get you $50 off. And you want to do that before the price goes up again. It's currently at $197. This will bring it back to $147. It will be going up to $247 at the end of the month. Okay, so obviously don't run off and do that until you find out if you just won. So let me stop sharing here. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing that particular thing, and then I'm going to show you a tool. Oh no, did I close it? Hold on. Bear with me a second. That is not the right one. That's why. Okay, if you're doing online, this is a fun tool that we use for giveaways. So if you're doing an online book launch and you want to do a giveaway, you can use this online tool called Wheel of Names. And let me, I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. My my technology was not participating with me there. All right, so I want to show you this cool tool, Wheel of Names, that you can, I've taken everybody who pre-registered and I dropped your names in here, and hopefully everybody can see this. What it's going to do is I'm going to click the wheel and it's going to spin, and we're going to spin until we find somebody who is present. Must be present to get this. I do want to say, if it lands on you and you've already purchased a ticket, We're not doing refunds. You either can say pass, or you can choose to get the book, to get the free ticket and give it to a friend, or split the cost with a friend, however you want to do that. But again, we won't be doing any refunds if you already have a ticket. So here we go. It's gonna spin, and there's so many names in there. It usually spins a little faster than this, but it's probably like, holy moly, that's a lot of names. All right, Terry Stevens, are you here? If you are here, please raise your hand or type in the chat. Let me see if I can pull up the chat. Oh goodness, there's a lot in the chat. Terry Stevens, the coupons are Alexa 50 or Love Yourself. Terry, are you here? Going once. Going twice. Okay, we are going 3 times. We're going to spin again. Everybody, hang on. It's like there's too many names. Usually you won't have this many names in there. Amy Feinauer, are you here? Amy? Lots of people register for the recordings. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. How about we'll spin one more time, and if the person isn't here yet, then we'll figure out a plan B for this. Dana's here. Don't you already have your ticket? I hope you have your ticket. All right. Amy King, are you here? Okay, going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take, gonna get rid of a lot of these names, and I'm gonna say, okay, we got Danielle Blum, we have Colleen, and I will answer questions in a second. Colleen D. Oh, that's interesting. I've never had it only pick names with an A before. So it might have just been overwhelmed because everybody wasn't here. Let's see. The summit does happen only once a year. Can I spin past the A's? I'm going to type in your names that you're commenting, but you know what? I can't type in everybody's names, so this didn't work out like I hoped it would, but Michelle. And I will answer questions in a second. Whoops. Caprice H, Carol A, Jonah O. Oh, that's a good idea, Christine. Thank you. Groupthink. All right, let me do that. I'm so glad you had me do that. Hold on, let me stop share for a second here. And I'm going to go to that. That's a great idea. Thank you so much. Let's see if I can do that, because I hate to miss somebody who is here. Will it let me do the participant list? I don't see any way to copy this.
I don't know if you can copy them, but we also had an idea to do a random number generator and count. Which I could do in the background while you answer questions.
Okay, that's a good idea. I'm gonna let Alexandra take it from here to find our winner, and we're gonna go into the question. I'm gonna stop the recording here.